It's New Year's Eve today as the country is just hours away from bidding goodbye to the year 2079 and welcome the new year 2080. As the old adage goes, with the fresh new year, it's the time of the year to refresh and rejoice yourself. The new year will always bring new hope, new resolution and new plans for the new year that lies ahead of us. And as we look forward to the year 2080, the people in the country believe that the new year will usher into better days by alleviating the economic gloom prevailing in the country. Good evening, I'm Amar Singh Pradhan and these are the headlines of the hour. A consensus reached to elect Anjan Shrestha as the senior vice president of FNCCI. Shrestha elected unopposed with the support of other contestant Umesh Lal Shrestha. The umbrella organization of legal practitioner Bar urges Prime Minister to expedite the appointment process of the Chief Justice, demands the formation of Parliamentary Hearing Committee. North Korea fires a ballistic missile, triggering a scare in northern Japan. The US objects to the latest launch, Japan to call the meeting of Security Council. And Manchester United take on Sevilla in the first leg Europa League quarter-final clash tonight. Juventus up against Sporting Club and Bayern Leverkusen against St. Union in other classes. A consensus has been reached, paving way to the election of Anjan Shrestha as the senior vice president of Federation of Nepalese Chamber of Commerce and Industries, the umbrella organization of the business community in the country. The other senior vice president candidate extended support to Anjan Shrestha, which ended the requirement to hold the second round of voting. Earlier preparations had started to hold the second phase of election for the senior vice president, as none among the three contestants was able to secure more than 50% vote. Anjan Shrestha and Umesh Lal Shrestha were supposed to compete in the second phase of the election, which was later not required. Ramchandra Sanghai was earlier eliminated from the race as he had received the least percentage of vote. In the first phase, Anjan Shrestha secured 33.99% vote, while Umesh Shrestha received 31.33%. Sanghai's vote was limited to 30.43%. Meanwhile, results of all other positions have already been announced. Jyotsna Shrestha from the panel of Sanghai has been elected in the associate category, while Suraj Krishna Vaidya has been elected in the district municipal category. In the commodity category, Hemraj Dhakal of Umesh Lal Shrestha's panel has been elected the vice president. The final result has also been announced for the election of members. 1,612 members had voted for the election of associate category, 114 for district municipal category and 122 for substantial category. The Nepal Bar Association has drawn the attention of Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal regarding the appointment process of the Chief Justice at the earliest. Bar officials met with Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal earlier this morning and urged him to initiate required procedures for appointment of the Chief Justice. They have also demanded formation of the Parliamentary Hearing Committee and calling of the meeting of the Constitutional Council. Following the suggestion of Bar officials, Prime Minister Dahal has assured of forming the Parliamentary Hearing Committee on the 16th of April and holding the meeting of the Constitutional Council on the 18th of this month. Prior to this, the Bar Association had warned of resorting to protest if the Chief Justice was not appointed within 10 days. Kathmandu Metropolis Mayor Balendra Saha has challenged the authorities to move the administrative center of the country's Singhadarbar from Kathmandu. Kathmandu Mayor Saha, through a Facebook status, challenged the leaders to either work in the interest of the country's capital, Kathmandu, or move the administrative hub from Kathmandu itself. The mayor went on to say that Kathmandu denizens have no issues if the government changes the country's capital or the location of the administrative center. Mayor Balendra Saha added that Kathmandu needs art, architecture, culture and civilization rather than politics. Saha, who has become agitated amid government's lack of cooperation for the prosperity of the city and the issue of garbage management, had stopped collecting waste from Singhadarbar. Maternal mortality rate has drastically reduced in Nepal because of the efforts from the government and non-government organizations. The Nepal Demographic and Health Survey 2016 had found the maternal mortality rate at 239 per 100,000 live births. However, the recent census has shown that the rate has reduced to 151, but it still is above the target of Sustainable Development Goals of 70 per 100,000 live births. The World Health Organization defines the maternal mortality rate as the annual number of female deaths from any cause related to or aggravated by pregnancy or its management during pregnancy and childbirth or within 42 days of termination of pregnancy, irrespective of the duration and site of the pregnancy. According to doctors, the maternal mortality rate increases because of low access to health services for women in their pregnancies and delay in regular checkup. The maternal mortality rate is the highest in Lumbini province in Nepal at 207 per 100,000 live births. Nepal has set the target for Sustainable Development Goals of reducing the maternal mortality rate to less than 70 per 100,000 live births by 2030. However, the target appears a challenge as groups under the poverty line and marginalized communities still do not have proper access to health services. Experts are of the opinion that the government must ensure appropriate use of human resources and technologies to curb the maternal mortality rate in Nepal. Despite the lapse of more than a year since the operation of rail service, the Nepal Railway Company is operating in loss. While several plans have been put forward to make the entity independent as its current expenditure exceed the revenue by more than twofolds, the experience of 1 year has not been notable. 1 year has completed since the beginning of the rail service from Jayanagar to Kurtha of Janakpur Dham. In the 713 journeys from Jayanagar to Kurtha, more than 1 million passengers have been benefited. Positive changes have been witnessed after the operation of the railway. A few problems surfaced during the presence of a huge number of passengers. While the local residents are enthused about the railway service, which has provided them some respite for travel purpose, the Nepal Railway is still operating in loss. The entity has generated 85 million rupees in 1 year while spending more than 160 million rupees. Based on the past agreements between Nepal and India, the entity, which is operating with Indian technical human resources, compelled to fuel and carry out sanitation works in India. The company has introduced several plans to appoint officials and grow independent. The number of Indian nationals from West Bengal, Odisha, Jharkhand and Bihar, among other places, using the railway to arrive in Nepal to visit Janakpur Dham and Pasupati, among other religious and tourist destinations, has increased. Based on the 2010 agreement between the governments of India and Nepal of the 69-kilometer Jayanagar-Bardibas railway section, 35-kilometer Jayanagar-Kurtha is under operation in the first phase, while structures are under construction for Kurtha-Bardibas section. The body currently has 17 Indian and 110 Nepali staff, while 60 armed police force personnel are deployed for security. A two-day food festival has begun in Sankhwasava headquarters, Kantipur, to mark the Nepali New Year 2080 BS. Newa Misa Dhabu has organized the food festival with the objective of promoting Newari culture and domestic tourism. The festival features different Newari dishes. The festival also includes cultural performances including Dhime Baja or instrument alongside Manju, Sri Charya, Kumari, Bajrayogini and Bhairav Charya dances. The festival, which began yesterday, concludes today. And it's now time for our segment Public Pulse, where it texts us with their opinion.
Public Pulse.
The question is, why has a Chief Justice not been appointed at the Supreme Court for a long period of time? Your options are option A, political ploy, option B, ad hoc trend, and option B, ignoring the judiciary. The voting is on. Type any WS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share opinion with us. And let's move on to international update. North Korea fired a ballistic missile of intermediate range or longer earlier today, as confirmed by South Korea and Japan. The attack triggered a scare in northern Japan, where residents were told to take cover, though it turned out to be no danger at the end. Japanese authorities retracted the alert for Hokkaido Island when they determined that the missile would not fall nearby. The missile flew about 1,000 kilometers, South Korea's military said, calling it a grave provocation. The apogee or maximum altitude of the missile has not been disclosed. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida said his government would hold a National Security Council meeting in response to the launch. The White House said in a statement that the United States strongly condemned North Korea for its test of a long-range ballistic missile. Japan's Coast Guard said the projectile had fallen in the sea to the east of North Korea. Hamada said he could not confirm whether the missile flew over Japan's exclusive economic zone. The launch came days after North Korean leader Kim Jong-un called for strengthening war deterrence in a more practical and offensive manner to counter what North Korea called moves of aggression by the United States. While condemning the latest in a string of North Korean missile tests, the United States renewed its offer to open talks. The U.S. government believes the UN Secretary General is too willing to accommodate Russian interests, according to fresh revelations in classified documents leaked online. The files suggest Washington has been closely monitoring Antonio Guterres. Several documents describe private communications involving Guterres and his deputy. It is the latest from a leak of secret documents which U.S. officials are scrambling to get to the bottom of. The documents contain candid observations from Guterres about the war in Ukraine and a number of African leaders. One leaked document focuses on the Black Sea grain deal brokered by the UN and Turkey in July following fears of a global food crisis. It suggests that Guterres was so keen to preserve the deal that he was willing to accommodate Russia's interest. UN officials bristled at the suggestion that the world's top diplomat was being soft in Moscow. And those were our latest headlines. Our next English bulletin will air at 10:30 tonight. Thank you for staying with us. Goodbye for now and Happy New Year.